Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. You're welcome back to the e-learning portal of Citywide Model College. The Js1 Business Studies for Week 6 continues with Lesson 2, presented by Adirogba, and the topic is Importance of Consumer Education. Don't forget, the last lesson was on the need for consumer education. So we shall continue by looking at the importance of consumer education. 1. Consumer education protects the consumers from falling victims of fraudulent or bad producers or sellers. 2. Consumer education provides necessary information on markets, products, and services. 3. Information provided through consumer education enables the consumers to make the right decisions when making purchases. 4. Consumer education enables the consumers to get maximum satisfaction from their money. Maximum satisfaction from the money they spend. 5. Consumer education reduces the problems consumers face when making purchases because they already have the necessary information. They know varieties of goods available, they know substitutes, they know general prices for these goods for certain quantities. So they are able, or they know the prices of substitutes with the little variations that can be available in these prices. So they can compare products easily and then they can make the best choices. Consumer education is a significant factor in keeping the economy moving. How? As it holds companies accountable. Consumer education holds companies accountable for what they sell and how they sell it. 1. They need to provide certain information about their goods or products. 2. Consumers have information about certain things and about certain market practices or business practices, about standard business practices, and this makes the firms or producers or companies producing goods to be what? To be accountable to the what? To the consumers. I hope my point is clear. We already know what is obtainable as consumers. We know certain the general quantity or the general quality or the range of prices that should be attached to certain goods. So this makes the consumer and the producers to be accountable to the consumers. When they fall short of these standards, then we can ask them why. They also are afraid because once they know consumers have the necessary information, they would not want to be found wanting because they know whatever they do, they will be questioned since consumers already have the necessary information. So as I was saying, consumer education is a significant factor in keeping the economy moving as it holds companies accountable for what they sell and how they sell it and gives consumers control over their purchases. Consumer education motivates consumers to provide feedback that can be used to improve the quality of products and services. So when the goods produced falls short of certain standards, then the producers of such goods can be questioned. The complaints of consumers serves as feedback to the producers for them to what? To continuously improve the quality of their products and services. Now, the next we are going to look at is consequences of lack of consumer education, where consumers are not exposed, where consumers are not enlightened about the necessary information they need about certain products and markets. What are the consequences? 1. Lack of consumer education encourages producers to supply poor quality goods. 2. Lack of consumer education will make consumers not to be able to make right choices of products and services. 3. Information on various standards and standardization may not be available to the consumers due to what? Lack of consumer education. That is, where there are no avenues to enlighten consumers, where there are no agencies to educate consumers, where there are no room for consumers to get the necessary information before they make their purchases. Consumers what? We fall into false agreements with producers. Whatever the producer says, they just accept it like that. Consumers may not be aware, that is, when there is lack of consumer education, consumers may not be aware of the correct usage of products. Yes, one of the information that consumers must get on products is how they should be used, and this should be done by the producers. The producers must demonstrate, and that is the essence of the adverts they place. In the adverts, in their adverts and promotions, they demonstrate their products. They teach people how they use their products, how to use it. Also, there are usually leaflets in the products giving directions on how goods should be used. So the leaflet is an avenue to educate consumers on the product. Are you with me? The information on the carton, on the package, on the packets are avenues to educate consumers on the product. So, if these informations are not available, consumers may not be aware of the correct usage of products. Marketing and sources of purchasing a particular product will not be easily available. Marketing and sources of purchasing a particular product will not be easily available. When producers do not give necessary information about their products, it may not be easy to access the products. It may not be easy to know where to get this product from. So that's also one of the consequences of lack of consumer education. Another consequence of lack of consumer education is that consumers may not get maximum satisfaction from their money. When they don't have necessary information before they make purchases, they may just buy what they actually don't need, or what does not even serve the purpose they think it serves. So they don't get maximum satisfaction from the money they spend. So this is what we are going to look at today before we call it a day. Let's briefly look at what we have discussed before we end the class. We have looked at the importance of consumer education. Why consumer education is important? It protects consumers from falling victims of fraudulent or bad producers or sellers. It provides necessary information on market, on products and services. Consumer education, information information provided through consumer education enables the consumers to make the right decisions when making purchases. Consumer education enables the consumers to get maximum satisfaction from their money spent. It reduces the problems consumers face when making purchases. Consumer education is a significant factor in keeping the economy moving, as it holds companies accountable for what they produce and sell and how they sell it. It gives consumers control over their purchases. It motivates consumers to provide feedback that will be useful to improve the quality of products and services. Then we looked at the consequences of lack of consumer education. Lack of consumer education will encourage producers to supply poor quality goods. Lack of consumer education will make our consumers not to be able to make right choices of products and services. Information on various standards and standardization may not be available to the consumers if there is no avenue for consumers to be educated or enlightened. Consumers may fall into false agreements with producers. They just believe everything the producers say when they don't have the necessary information. Consumers may not be aware of the correct usage of products when there is no consumer education. Marketing and sources of purchasing a particular product will not be easily available, and consumers may not get maximum satisfaction from their money spent. So this is where we are going to stop today. May Allah continues to protect us and increase us in beneficial knowledge and understanding of the deen. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.